skies, and then we warm up fast into the upper 60s by Friday into Saturday with sunny skies, and then another splash of showers into Sunday.
Well, we told you about that new safe parking site opening today in San Jose, and in San Francisco, it is a different situation. Dozens of people living at a safe parking site there are being forced to move out today. They're facing two choices by the city: either accept alternative housing or move your vehicles by today. This is happening at what was once Candlestick Park in the city's Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood. Amanda Harry says there are a lot of people there who don't know what to do next.
Here's the hoarder.
In the last few months, the people who live at the San Francisco Bayview Vehicle Triage Center say their lives have been turned upside down.
100%. I mean, total. Like an earthquake.
Aaron Wilson was noticeably emotional when he described the stress he's been under. He's lived at the safe parking site since March 2024. The city announced the closure in December. It was shortly after officials finally managed to connect reliable power, nearly 3 years after opening. A 2023 budget analysis report estimates the cost per vehicle at the site to be about $140,000 per year. Emily Cohen with the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing explained to Bay City News why they're shutting down the facility, citing costly infrastructure issues, lease renewal issues, and difficulties understanding the best way to serve people living in their vehicles. She said, quote, "I think that's what government is supposed to do. If something's not working, you're supposed to end it and move on. Like, we don't want to just keep doing something that has demonstrated that it's not working." The people living in their vehicles have been offered housing. Not all of them have accepted, but Wilson did. Still, he doesn't know what to do with his RV.
I asked for a tow, and they denied it to me. Baby Hunters Point Foundation, this is the so-called caseworkers. They said, no, we're not giving it to you. You have to figure it out yourself.
If he doesn't, it may be towed to an impound lot. When he moved into the triage center nearly a year ago, he was told the HSH would provide services to fix his vehicle and get him back on his feet. He claims they never did what they promised. He says many of the other vehicles at the site are in similar states of disrepair and can't be moved. Wilson has started a GoFundMe to try to get his vehicle moved and fixed so he can potentially sell it.
I'm going to have to find a place for the vehicle in the interim, whatever I'm going to do with it. I have to get it registered, and then I can have it for sale, right? And in that time, I got to hope it doesn't get broken into, that's why they call this safe parking. It's like break-ins to RVs that people are living in are very common in San Francisco, okay? It's almost assured. So and of course, if you leave, and they've been watching it, you're opening yourself up.
Everything he owns is inside his RV, and the same is true for many of the others. He also has several cats, and he won't be able to bring them all to his new housing. He hopes to find a way to keep them safe, too.
And I don't want to lose any of them.
From what people who live there currently understand, if they don't get their vehicles out today, they might be towed tomorrow. We asked the city if there's any update on the situation and if people will be able to get help with moving broken down vehicles, and have not yet heard back. An overnight parking program in Palo Alto has been so helpful that they are looking to expand. And Oakland has partnered with local churches to open up parking spots overnight for all kinds of vehicles, not just for RVs. New U.S. tariffs ordered by President Trump are set to begin tonight. Many economists say the cost of things like cars, groceries, shoes, and electronics could be going up. Mexico says it is waiting to see if the Trump administration follows through with a 25% tariff against goods from that country. Canada also getting slapped with a 25% tariff and a lesser 10% charge on its energy exports. Another 10% will be added to the universal tariff on goods from China.
I don't think it's likely that these Chinese companies would eat all of the cost, but you do have to remember China is in a tough spot economically. They need to keep access to these U.S. buyers and consumers in order to get out of that. Where China could hit us, though, is with retaliatory tariffs. Under the first Trump administration, the agriculture industry was devastated by that. So that's a route they could go instead.
A recent report from the Conference Board shows consumer confidence is slipping over concerns about inflation and trade uncertainty. And a CBS News poll found nearly 2/3 of consumers say that prices have already been rising over the last few weeks. Economists say those tariffs could hit especially hard here in California, since our economy relies heavily on imported goods. Suji Nam spoke with one Bay Area small business owner who's worried about having to pass on those costs to consumers.
Jeff Leopold is the owner of Standard 5 and 10 Ace Hardware in San Francisco. The business has been operating since 1939, being a source for neighbors when they need tools and hardware parts. But with President Donald Trump imposing a 10% tariff on goods coming in from China,
made in China,
Jeff worries about the future of his business.
You work off of a very slim margin, and you can't just take a 10% hit on 2,000 SKUs as the example that I use.
While the business runs independently of Ace Hardware, he buys inventory from the company, who has already begun price increases. He says the increased overhead will ultimately have to come at a cost to customers.
You take a light bulb that's at $9.99 and bring it over $10, there's a little bit of a consumer resistance, like, why am I paying $11 now for a light bulb?
Cal State East Bay economics professor Farhad Sabitan says California will especially face the burden of these tariffs.
We import about almost $500 billion of goods from other countries. Of that, China is the top of the chart. In other words, California is a top importer from Chinese goods. That's about 25% of all the imports.
And raising prices could mean less business.
People actually buy less because items become more expensive.
While the store does carry many American-made products, he says it's not always easy.
You can't always get the products you want that are made in the USA.
Jeff hopes customer service and inventory keep people coming in.
A bolt, like we were in the fastener aisle, you're not going to order that online. You want to go touch it and feel it.
One of many small business owners working to keep his business afloat.
Still ahead here on CBS News Bay Area, a city in the East Bay taking a new approach to crack down on homeless encampments, how it is taking a page out of Berkeley's book.
We'll line it from the start of the freeway all the way down to the end of the street here.
Plus, the Bay Area's biggest cities hitting reverse when it comes to enforcing a parking law. We'll meet one man who says the crackdown needs to happen now. And imagine losing everything in a house fire and then thieves targeting what little is left. We're going to hear from a Bay Area family about their living nightmare.
I feel like a portion of myself, a portion of ourselves, went with the house last Tuesday.
As you can see, it's nothing.
We'll see more clouds rolling in as we head into the evening hours tonight, just ahead of more rain right around the corner as we head into our evening forecast tonight, early morning hours tomorrow. We see some break-apart showers pushing in from offshore. The South Bay, as we head into our Tuesday evening and early Wednesday morning, could get a little splash of showers too, as another system sweeps just to the south, closer to Monterey, as we head into our Wednesday setup. Into Wednesday, then we'll get splashed with another series of showers pushing in from offshore. So there's a lot of unsettled weather back and forth as we head into this week's forecast. We will dry up a little bit as we head into our Friday setup, which is actually going to be beautiful with sunny skies right around the corner to wrap up this week. But look at this weekend. For the most part, it's just a cloudy, beautiful, mild day for Saturday. We have another splash of showers as we head into Sunday, which potentially could linger into early next week.
The city of Oakland is borrowing an idea from its neighbor to the north in a new approach to try to clear homeless encampments. You might remember at People's Park in Berkeley, where after years of legal battles and protests over the space, you see Berkeley walled off the park with shipping containers stacked 17 feet high. Now, business owners and city officials in Oakland are trying to take that approach to a vacant lot right near the Home Depot near Fruitvale. Dalin checked out for himself how that plan would work.
Yeah, so we'll line it from the start of the freeway all the way down to the end of the street here. It's 40 feet long, 8 feet wide, and about 6,000 pounds heavy.
That's how much each empty container weighs. Jeff Alberto says these heavy containers will form a wall and end the encampment problem.
There's really no dragging it. It's more of like a land anchor right now.
Jeff owns Oakland Container Services. He just started leasing the land from the property owner for his growing container business. He partnered with the city of Oakland and Caltrans to clear the large encampment last week.
Utilize it as a storage depot as we anticipate to have about 250 to 300 containers in here.
He says it's a win-win. He needs the land, and the city has been trying to get rid of the encampment here for about 8 years.
I put up a fence, a wrought iron fence, and people just run over it, tear it down like it's no big deal.
The city worked with the property owner and cleared the encampment at least 5 times in recent years. We captured this removal back in 2019, but each time, within a couple of weeks, people would drive cars to plow over the fence and occupy the land. Many frustrated businesses and neighbors threatened to leave.
I'm trying to keep Home Depot here in Oakland due to their job creation that they have.
Oakland city leaders took a page from how UC Berkeley shield off People's Park with shipping containers. And Jeff, an Oakland native, happens to need a lot of space for his business. Jeff has already done the same setup on a neighboring lot.
We won't have this issue no more. I believe I could guarantee that almost.
While neighbors and businesses support the move, they want the city to house the homeless. Some of the former encampment residents are still waiting for transitional and permanent housing.
We don't have nowhere to go. That's what we looking forward towards the city, for them to come help us find somewhere to go. But since they don't do that, I can't even answer that question and tell you where I'm gonna go.
I moved my trailer to the next open spot that I could find.
Councilman Noel Gallo says the city has a major budget deficit and is working with limited funds. Jeff understands the complexity. He hopes this will work out for everyone.
I appreciate all the support, and all I can say is I love my city.
Jeff and the city hope to remove the remaining 2 RVs at the site by Tuesday and have all of the shipping containers stacked up and done by Wednesday. By the way, Noel Gallo says they can't build affordable housing here because this site is super contaminated. It would cost a lot of money to clean it up.
A similar situation near a charter school in Oakland's Fruitvale district. Neighbors put up planter boxes trying to prevent an encampment there from returning outside of Ascend Charter School. Parents say the encampment was blocking the emergency exit.
When they came home from school, they were so happy. Mom, the people doing bad things are not there anymore.
The city cleared the encampment on Thursday after repeated complaints of safety hazards and illegal activity. We now know when San Francisco's newest park is going to open along Ocean Beach, but not everybody is ready to embrace it. The controversy continues even after voters in November approved closing the 2-mile stretch of the Great Highway to make way for the new park. The closure starts March 14th. That is going to stretch from Sloat Boulevard to Lincoln Way, and we heard from some supporters who are thrilled about the park's opening. The date for that, April 12th. They told us they are looking forward to having a new space to walk, bike, and gather.
We all wanted more spaces where we could come together and be in community, and that's what this is.
But a neighbor shared this surveillance video with us from about 12 days ago, a car sideswiping his truck there. That's why some neighbors are worried that the closure is going to push more cars into their neighborhoods.
If I tried to cross the street, I can't run out of the way. It makes it very dangerous. You know, it's just, you have heavy traffic, you're going to have more accidents.
As for the new park, the city is inviting the public to help choose a name. If you have an idea, you can submit your suggestions on the Rec and Parks website. California's daylighting law went into effect at the beginning of the year, but some cities are now scaling back or simply saying they can't enforce it right now. That is a parking law that prevents drivers from parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk. In San Francisco, the SFMTA has pulled back its initial enforcement plan. And as Max Darrow found out, that decision is leaving some people feeling vulnerable.
Living with a disability, Michael Smith spends a lot of time at home.
I'm just physically limited and cognitively limited.
He's not able to get out very much, and when he does, he can't drive and has to use public transit. Getting there requires a walk, which routinely reveals how vulnerable he is as a pedestrian.
If I'm in the crosswalk and a driver maybe didn't see me or something like that, I can't jump out of the way because of my physical condition. And so I'm really at risk.
That's why he was relieved when California's daylighting law went into effect. The law prohibits a driver from parking within 20 feet of a crosswalk in the direction of approaching traffic, whether it's marked or not. But now many cities, like San Francisco, are rolling back their enforcement plans.
It was definitely a big disappointment when found out that they were delaying things because there was really no need.
SFMTA originally said they would ticket drivers who parked too close to the crosswalk even if it wasn't painted red. But that's no longer the case.
My concern, based on these discussions, is that was really going to create some trust and frustration issues with San Francisco residents and visitors.
The SFMTA declined our request for an on-camera interview and directed us to a pre-recorded video statement from Acting Director Julie Kirschbaum.
With this state requirement, we will need to move in the direction of a citywide program.
She says that will involve an expedited process of painting curbs red so they can appropriately enforce the law. The timeline, about 18 months.
We can't always, just follow who yells the loudest. And what we need to do is look at what is really going to improve safety.
He'd like to see a safer San Francisco and California for everyone. And he says rolling back the rollout will slow that process down.
It's not just San Francisco taking its time. Neither San Jose nor Oakland are enforcing the daylighting law. A San Jose spokesperson told us they've removed some metered parking, but it's expensive and time-consuming to mark all the curbs. Oakland wants to see how other cities implement the law. The city council plans to make recommendations sometime this spring. The assembly member behind the law, San Jose's Alex Lee, says he is confident that the law will reduce traffic deaths, but he knows it is going to take some time to adapt.
I'm Kevin Coe in San Francisco. A Mission Terrace family's life was flipped upside down when their home, this home, was destroyed in a fire. But from looters to health issues, the problems have only grown since the flames were put out.
It's another beautiful day for us today in the Bay Area, with daytime highs today sitting in the low 60s. Back and forth throughout this week, we'll sit in the upper 50s and lower 60s with on and off showers in the forecast too. That'll lead into our Wednesday and Thursday setup, moving in from offshore. Some of us will see more rain down into the South Bay as we head into our Thursday forecast, but we all clear up as we head into our Friday and Saturday, with another chance of showers right around the corner as we head into late this weekend as early as Sunday evening. We'll keep you updated on those rainfall totals here in the Weather Center.
Well, it's a question that nobody really wants to have to answer. What do you do when you suddenly lose everything? One San Francisco family is still trying to figure that out after a fire destroyed their home. Kevin Coe shows us how the family is trying to pick up the pieces.
This was the living room.
If there was a holiday, this was the room Mercedes Castro and her family were in.
We're all lined up right here.
This picture from this past Thanksgiving was the last holiday at the Aquino family home.
Oh my God.
The house went up in flames mid-February. The San Francisco Fire Department says it sparked after a candle was knocked over.
It might not be death, but the death of a home is like the death of a family member. And I feel like a portion of myself, a portion of ourselves, went with the house last Tuesday.
This, you can see, is nothing.
Just in case there is something, Castro and her son Carlos have been digging around. Every room they stop in is full of memories.
The last time all the sisters were in the kitchen making pupusas with my grandma.
This is Grandma, Lydia Aquino, who owns the home. The 89-year-old was diagnosed with Alzheimer's last year, and since the fire, she's been with her other daughter, Morena.
No me siento muy bien, me siento como le vuelvo a repetir.
Lydia says she's heartbroken because she feels like her entire life was taken away, but she's grateful her family is safe. Grandma's house was the hub for the entire family.
My kids grew up in that house. It means to us home.
But for some criminals, it was an opportunity. The family says the house has been robbed 4 times since the fire.
They even dug through the bathroom. They were trying to find anything, dude. They were trying to find anything and every little thing. People still had the audacity to be like, screw their situation. Let's see what we can come up on.
It's unclear what's next for the family, as they're still trying to figure out what they have left.
And this is me, beautiful.
Yes. But every now and then, they find something to remind them why they love this home.
I thought everything in the living room was done. But when we came and searched everything, I was able to find this portrait of my grandparents at a family barbecue. I still remember this day.
Yes.
So being able to retrieve this item is something I'm going to forever be grateful for.
Coming up in our next half hour here on CBS News Bay Area, taking matters into their own hands. Why one South Bay community says they were forced to come up with their own wildfire evacuation plan.
Evacuation routes are really important, and we've been trying to persuade the county to make a bigger investment in this.
Plus, why Oakland neighbors have a beef with the meat plant next door.
The real banging and smashing and radios and forklifts.
I'm Ann Makovic, and this is The Minute. Dangerous surf conditions continuing along Bay Area shorelines today, a day after a man died after being swept out to sea. That happened about 30 miles north of Bodega Bay in Sonoma County. The sheriff's office says waves knocked him off the rocks in the Gorsel Cove area. Today is the deadline for RV owners to move out of a safe parking site in San Francisco. Dozens of people live in that area, which used to be Candlestick Park. The city announced the closure in December. It says people living in their RVs have been offered housing. And police in Hillsborough continue to search for the man who shot a police officer last month. This is a sketch of a person of interest. That shooting happened outside of the police station in Hillsborough 9 days ago. Police say it was a targeted attack. The officer is recovering. The Bay Area's only primetime newscasts at 8 and 9 p.m. on Pix Plus, 44 Cable 12.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
It is a beautiful day for us here in the Bay Area, kicking off with some light winds in the forecast, but it does get gustier as we head into this afternoon with more clouds rolling in from offshore into the evening hours tonight. We can see wind gusts today anywhere up to around 30 to 35 miles per hour along the coast, moving in from offshore, and that's the exact same way these clouds are rolling in too. Now we head all the way into our Tuesday forecast. You see those showers just offshore. It looks intimidating at first, but watch how it starts to dissipate as it moves its way into the bay, heading into the afternoon hours on Tuesday. We could still see some lingering showers from that system, but just to the south of it, there's more activity closer to Monterey, down into Big Sur. That'll splash the Santa Clara Valley just a little bit more compared to some of us up in the North Bay as we head into Wednesday morning. And that exact same system brings plenty of snow to the Sierra, so keep that in mind if you want to head up there heading into this weekend. Now we head into Wednesday evening's forecast. More showers will sweep in from offshore. That lingers into our Thursday setup, but then we do clear up as we head into Friday. So a lot of on and off things going on for us right now. There's going to be days where we just see cloudy skies and a little quick splash of showers. There's other days, especially if you live in the Santa Clara Valley, where we can see a bit more. But as we head into our Sunday forecast, we are gearing up for more rain around the corner. Here's our daytime highs for us today, 50s and 60s throughout the Bay. That's pretty much the trend for us all week long here in the Bay Area until we head into the weekend. Now for our friends along the Bay, we're mostly sitting in the low 60s Friday and Saturday with partly cloudy skies before we get another splash of showers into that Sunday forecast. But for our friends in our inland spots, the South Bay, off into the East Bay, notice how we still hold on tight to 50s until Thursday with cloudy skies, and then we warm up fast into the upper 60s by Friday into Saturday with sunny skies, and then another splash of showers into Sunday.
Ahead of peak fire season, Governor Newsom declaring a state of emergency to fast-track wildfire prevention efforts. That move comes 2 months after the devastating wildfires in LA that killed 29 people and destroyed thousands of homes. The emergency order bypasses environmental regulations that have slowed forest management projects and clears the way for tree and vegetation removal, fuel breaks, and controlled burns. Last year's fire in the Oakland Hills exposed a major problem: how to escape on narrow mountain roads. With Santa Clara County still analyzing its evacuation routes, some locals are not waiting. As John Ramos reports, they're taking matters into their own hands.
The CZU complex fire in 2020 got a lot of people living up here in the Santa Cruz Mountains to thinking, how would we get out of here if the only road out of town was blocked by fire? County officials weren't helping, so they came up with a plan of their own. There is only one way in and out of the Aldercroft Heights neighborhood, and when the lightning began striking that started the massive CZU complex fire, some of the fires began near Aldercroft.
And so while they got those ones out and it never became part of the main part of the fire, we realized that there was no reason why what happened in Boulder Creek and those areas, there's no reason why that couldn't happen here.
But that wasn't the first fire to threaten the forested neighborhood. In 1985, the Lexington fire threatened the same area. Harold Chapelhoman remembers it well.
I was a brand new firefighter. That was our first campaign fire. We had the wrong engine, the wrong hose, we didn't have the right tools.
Now a retired fire chief, Chapelhoman says they learned a lot of lessons, including the importance of having planned evacuation routes for the public.
Many counties and agencies have taken that very seriously on their own and are doing that already. Why that's not being done in Santa Clara County is, actually I was surprised that it wasn't.
It's supposed to be state law, but the Aldercroft neighbors say they have gotten no help from the county in establishing a secondary way out of the development.
Even if you go to their website, they don't have phone numbers, they don't have links to email addresses, they don't have LinkedIn links. They have sort of like the people's names, but you have no idea how to get a hold of them. Like, they seem to actively not want to be contacted. They know us, we're easy to find, they haven't come to us for anything.
So the residents organized into a Firewise community, and all on their own came up with a secondary route out of the neighborhood that begins at these locked gates. The road beyond is the property of the local water company, which heavily guards access to the area.
We really had a push to make sure that we could use this as a second way out during the CZU complex fires.
They got the company to agree to open the gates on red flag days when wildfire is a threat, and it even posted these evac route signs. They even had a practice evacuation, and it became clear that the largely unpaved road may be a challenge in the event of a mass exodus. So at this point, the neighbors are asking the county to fork over the money to have the mile-long road paved.
Evacuation routes are really important, and we've been trying to persuade the county to make a bigger investment in this.
And of course, having a way to contact them would help.
2020 is not that long ago. I mean, if you didn't get a wake-up call then, it's 5 years later. What's the problem? Where's the issue? What's the holdup?
A 2022 California state law requires cities and counties to identify evacuation routes for natural disasters. And Santa Clara County plans to complete its analysis by this year or 2026. Some people in Oakland say a very noisy neighbor is preventing them from getting a good night's sleep. We're talking about the Suprema Meat Company. It's on 57th Avenue near the border of Emeryville, just a few blocks east of San Pablo Avenue. Our Katie Nielsen spoke with neighbors and city leaders about the decade-long feud and why a solution isn't as simple as it might seem.
Beeping forklifts, idling trucks, workers shouting, metal gates banging. That's what some neighbors say they wake up to around 3:30 or 4 o'clock almost every morning when Suprema Meats starts loading and unloading trucks for the day's deliveries.
The real banging and smashing and radios and forklifts and scraping and truck loading and shouting, and mayhem happens all day long until around 5 or 6 p.m.
Kim Lucas is an epidemiologist who now works from home less than 50 yards from Suprema's loading area. Over the years, she's captured these videos showing trucks blocking the streets and sidewalks, as well as loud noise at all hours of the day. Similar allegations are laid out in a new lawsuit filed by the Oakland City Attorney's Office, asking the court to declare the business operations to be a public nuisance and order them to stop.
We've done a lot and we can do more. But for the city to say that I've done nothing.
Suprema Meats owner Mike Hara didn't want us to show his face on camera, but says over the past 10 years as the neighborhood has gentrified, they've gotten more complaints from nearby residents. Hara says he did change operations to try to make less noise and also keep truck traffic off the residential streets, something he says cost the business a lot in lost revenue. But he says the city keeps suing them.
Why do you think they're singling you out?
I don't know.
There is a 10-year history of the neighbors being inconvenienced and more than that, really devastated by the actions of Suprema Meats.
The city council member for the district, Zach Unger, says this isn't about singling out one business, but instead working for the good of the neighborhood as a whole.
I am not someone who wants to chase business out of town, and I think that the city offered Suprema plenty of opportunities to change their practices or move their operations. I would like to see Suprema be successful, but not at the expense of our neighbors.
We talked with a couple of the other neighbors who live right next to the meat company. They didn't want their faces on camera, but they said that they knew the meat distribution facility was here when they moved in, and their rent was a lot lower because of it. So they actually don't mind the noise. They feel like they're getting a good deal.
If the city is successful in its attempt to declare Suprema a public nuisance, the court could place restrictions on the company, like limiting its operating hours. Coming up next, they drive up to 22 miles just to practice and play. Now, one of the Bay Area's last all-girls schools is fighting for a space to call their own.
It's really difficult, especially the commute here, and I just know that we wouldn't have this problem if we were a co-ed school.
We'll see more clouds rolling in as we head into the evening hours tonight, just ahead of more rain right around the corner. As we head into our evening forecast tonight, early morning hours tomorrow, we see some break-apart showers pushing in from offshore. The South Bay, as we head into our Tuesday evening and early Wednesday morning, could get a little splash of showers too, as another system sweeps just to the south, closer to Monterey, as we head into our Wednesday setup. Into Wednesday, then we'll get splashed with another series of showers pushing in from offshore. So there's a lot of unsettled weather back and forth as we head into this week's forecast. We will dry up a little bit as we head into our Friday setup, which is actually going to be beautiful with sunny skies right around the corner to wrap up this week. But look at this weekend. For the most part, it's just a cloudy, beautiful, mild day for Saturday. We have another splash of showers as we head into Sunday, which potentially could linger into early next week.
Deebo Samuel is saying goodbye to the 49ers. The NFL Network reporting the wide receiver has been traded to the Washington Commanders. That is in exchange for a fifth-round pick. Washington has been in the mix for the wide receiver for a while. With this trade, the 49ers get some cap room, getting rid of his $21.7 million salary. One of the last remaining all-female Catholic schools in the Bay Area is fighting to have its own athletic facilities. Right now, the student athletes at Burlingame's Mercy High have to drive 22 miles for practices. Lauren Tom shows us how they're raising money and support to try to change that.
Every practice for Mercy High School's volleyball and basketball teams takes place not in their own gym, but here, about 10 miles away at the all-boys Sarah High School in San Mateo. And senior class president Isis Ordaz says it's time to serve up some change.
It's really difficult, especially the commute here, and I just know that we wouldn't have this problem if we were a co-ed school, which is really sad to think about.
For at least a quarter of a century, the all-girls Catholic high school in Burlingame, one of the last of its kind in the Bay Area, hasn't had a functioning athletic facility. No home games, no trophy cabinets or championship banners, no place for athletes to call their own.
It's really almost diminishing in a way because I know we have championship rings and we could have our own banners.
At Mercy, Ordaz has been part of her school's barrier-breaking volleyball team, outperforming regional schools to clinch a championship in 2024. Even so, her trophies and rings are mostly kept in storage on campus. But a campaign to raise enough money to construct a new athletic facility on the school's campus is nearing their goal. With the $27 million projected budget, Mercy is $1.5 million away from that goal becoming a reality. And for head of school and Mercy alumna Natalie Brosnan, it's not just a goal, but it's a message of support to the school's young women.
When our young women have to go to other schools to play, especially our brother school, Sarah High School, who we have such a rich tradition with and we love, and so no one ever complains about being on their campus, but we're sending this explicit message of you matter, you deserve equitable facilities. But the implicit message is you have to go to the boys' school because that's where the donors are putting money, that's where the support is.
Brosnan was not only a student athlete at Mercy, but she later served as the water polo head coach. And for her, the prospect of an athletic facility to call their own is personal.
It's a big deal, and I don't think you can recognize the impact of the project unless you are a young woman that hasn't had that equity. And the more we talk about it, the more we recognize it, you realize something's got to change. And to know we are so close to that change in 2025 is just an amazing thing to know.
If approved, the school plans to build on top of their existing non-regulation facilities. It includes a pool, gymnasium, weight room, and their very own Hall of Honor.
I would want my future daughters to go to Mercy, and so I hope that this project is completed and that all Mercy girls feel, I guess, a greater sense of community and belonging, especially in athletics.
Hoping to return to a school with a home court advantage. So neighbors are concerned about traffic and noise, and because of this, the commission set a 10 p.m. weekday curfew. Today, the city council is going to hear from opponents of the plan. We are kicking off Women's History Month, the time to honor and highlight the contributions of women across the country. Today, we are stepping into the world of virtual reality, introducing you to a Bay Area native who uses technology and innovation to make women and others safer.
Nobody would invest in it because they're like, oh, it's safety, it's not very sexy, it's not very cool. And so I really had to gamble on myself.
Pam Isom is the president and CEO of ICE Safety Solutions, which provides companies and their employees life-saving training. Hear her story tonight at 5 on our evening edition with Ryan Yamamoto. Coming up, it was Hollywood's busiest night. We take a look at some of the films that won big at the Oscars. Plus, taking a trip back in time to the stars like Charlie Chaplin. We'll meet the company operating the Bay Area's last silent film theater.
Showing a local connection is important, but it is also, an experience that they may not get anywhere else.
Oh, thank you so much.
It's another beautiful day for us today in the Bay Area, with daytime highs today sitting in the low 60s. Back and forth throughout this week, we'll sit in the upper 50s and lower 60s with on and off showers in the forecast too. That'll lead into our Wednesday and Thursday setup, moving in from offshore. Some of us will see more rain down into the South Bay as we head into our Thursday forecast, but we all clear up as we head into our Friday and Saturday, with another chance of showers right around the corner as we head into late this weekend as early as Sunday evening. We'll keep you updated on those rainfall totals here in the Weather Center.
Now, you might have heard, Nora was the big winner at the 97th Academy Awards, sweeping all but one of the top categories. The film won the biggest award of the night, Best Picture. The film's Mikey Madison beat veteran Demi Moore to win her first Oscar for leading actress. The Brutalist grabbed 3 Oscars, including Adrian Brody's Best Lead Actor Award. And rounding out a season of wins, Kieran Culkin and Zoe Saldana took home statues for Best Supporting Actor and Actress. The Academy Awards also honored the city of Los Angeles in the wake, of course, of the devastating wildfires earlier this year, and featured tributes to the late music producer Quincy Jones and the James Bond franchise of films. This year's Best Picture nominees have one thing in common. They all included talking. In fact, only 2 silent films have ever won the Oscar for Best Picture. Of course, that was some time ago. The 1927's Wings took home the top prize at the very first Academy Awards. It didn't happen until The Artist won in 2011. There's just one theater left here in the Bay Area that caters to silent film buffs. Its operators tell Arlen Ramirez why it's so important to keep the reels spinning.
Okay, so the beginning of the film.
To David Keene, silent films are not really silent. They have a way of speaking to him that modern movies can't.
I think showing films that were made here in Niles, showing a local connection is important, but it is also, you know, an experience that they may not get anywhere else. That's 16 frames a second.
It's all a part of what Dave and his wife Rena have created at the SNA Film Museum in downtown Niles.
To keep that stuff alive is not only important to me, but very satisfying.
The museum has a collection of restored silent movie cameras, props, and memorabilia from when Niles was considered Hollywood North and was home to the SNA studios. It's where Bronco Billy Anderson pioneered the Western film genre and where Charlie Chaplin first put his iconic character, the Tramp, on film. The museum is located inside the historic Edison Theater building, which Dave and Rena own and are restoring.
So this is a mock-up, a model of what our theater could look like if we're able to raise the $3.5 million.
Dave is a former movie camera repairman and author. He was once featured on CBS's 60 Minutes for identifying the original cinematographers who made the famous silent film A Trip Down Market Street in San Francisco. And it was he who used context clues in the film, old weather reports, and newspaper clippings to pinpoint the filming date to exactly 4 days before the great earthquake of 1906.
The odds are some of the people you see had just days to live.
It was really a thrill to know that this information that had been lost for decades was rediscovered.
Bringing new perspectives to forgotten films also has a fun side, and that part of David's work happens every Saturday night when the silent movies whir back to life on the silver screen in front of new audiences, and the show is complete with a live piano accompaniment. It's one of the few, if not the only place anywhere where people can still get the full silent movie era experience. Linda Nelson lives in Fremont and is experiencing this for the first time.
Oh, I think it's lots of fun, and it's hometown, good, clean entertainment.
On movie nights, you can find David upstairs in the projection booth.
I've been doing it 20 years now, and it's still a thrill to see the audience appreciation for what we're showing.
The silent movie era died when the talkies took over in the 1930s, but thanks to Dave and Rena and the audiences in Niles, the silent stars still come out to shine.
Now, the museum is also open for tours on Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 4 p.m. You can see the full schedule on their website, nilesfilmmuseum.org. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Ann Makovic. We're going to be right back with your first alert forecast and another look at your top stories.